right, Pat. We've got a couple of high-profile outfielders here, people who we expected a lot from in fantasy terms this season, that are injured on the DL. We get people emailing us what to do with them, trade them while they're on the DL, wait for them to come back, waive them. So let's take a look at a couple of these guys and find out what expectations are. First, the big guy, Giancarlo Stanton, strained hamstring. Hopefully later this month. I don't know. That looked pretty serious to me. I don't know.
Fingers crossed it's later this month for some of my teams.
I wouldn't be surprised if it was June, but either way, when he comes back, what do you think?
Well, it shouldn't be a problem that limits his power, and frankly, he had no power in April anyway, so there was really no difference of whether he was on the DL. At least right now, he's not killing my batting average by being on the DL. But hopefully he comes back, and he's the old Giancarlo Stanton. Maybe.
2 questions.
Okay.
1, did you go out and get Ozuna to replace him?
No. I should have.
What do you think of Ozuna?
Ozuna's fine.
Young kid, he's got a lot of promise, no?
Yeah, I wouldn't go out of my way to go get him.
Perhaps if you had Stanton, it might have helped.
If I needed an outfielder to go plug in, then yeah.
He started off pretty well.
But I mean, we're looking at 10-game sample here.
Better than when Stanton's first 10 games.
It's true. I mean, I put it this way: I'd rather have Stanton than Ozuna.
Yes. All right. Well, the next thing is it goes back to the other argument. Now you've seen a semi-body of work of what he's had so far. Do you think he's going to get pitches to hit based on the lineup around him when he comes back? We're going to go on the assumption that he's not getting traded this year, no matter what, so he's going to be there. So do you think he'll see pitches to hit? And I think it's obvious. If he does see pitches to hit,
he's going to hit them.
Over time, he's one of the better sluggers in the game. So what about that part? Now that you've seen a sample...
Yeah, and in the sample I saw from the first month, even when he wasn't hitting, he was getting a ton of pitches to hit. In fact, he was getting more pitches to hit this year than he had been over the past 3 years. Just more pitches in the zone. He just wasn't making good contact. And finally, in the last 6 games before he ended up hurting his hamstring, he started to hit the ball.
Right.
And it wasn't a problem anymore. He stopped.
3 home runs in 2 games and then pulled the hamstring.
But it wasn't even just the power returned eventually right near the end of it, but he was just getting hits again. I don't care how many pitches you're not getting to hit. This wasn't the only case of people not getting pitches to hit in the history of baseball. He was just not hitting. Yeah. He was hitting below 100. That's an aberration. He's not a below 100 hitter. He's probably a 260 hitter?
No, I actually think Stanton's going to turn into a wonderful player. It's not going to be in Miami. He's going to be traded somewhere. He can't stand that owner now after they traded him, traded away his team. Half is in Toronto, half is in LA. And unless that franchise is sold, there's no way he'll ever resign there no matter what they give him.
Well, so how many home runs do you think he finishes with?
You know what? Unfortunately, this year, I think you might have to write it off. But
what do you mean write it off? What are you saying by write it off?
Compared to what somebody probably paid for him, I think he's going to be in the low 20s.
Low 20s? I still think he cracks 30.
Because of missed time and the pitch combination of that and the pitching thing. You and I look at things different. I think people are going to, over time, he's not going to get pitched to. If he wants to hit the ball, he's going to have to hit mistakes or the pitchers because they're just going to walk him and challenge the guy next to him in back of him. The combination of that, and I have to tell you, he seems a little soft to me for a guy his age. He's always got something, a reason why he's not in the lineup the first couple of years.
It's true. That you actually are dead on about that.
I'm a huge fan of his, but it's disappointing to me. And I actually like Ozuna quite a bit. And I think what's going to happen is when Stanton comes back, I don't think Ozuna's going anywhere.
Well, what if Ozuna now let's say he has these great...
I think they're going to trade Pierre.
Maybe.
To a contender.
If someone wants Pierre.
And Ozuna, I think Ozuna is a nice pickup. Oh, a contender will take Pierre.
Maybe.
Sure.
As a pinch runner, maybe.
Oh, he could be very useful for somebody.
Yeah, I guess so. But I mean, I think we should temper expectations on Ozuna just a little bit here.
I think he's 22 years old now. I think he's going to be a solid full-time player. I think if you're in a keeper league and you got him for $1, I think he's going to be a nice player.
Yeah, I wouldn't go.
You don't think so?
No, not really. He's just not my cup of tea. Not my cup of tea. Look, like you said with Stan, you think low 20s. I still think he can get to 30 plus. I mean, I'm going to say he finishes with 34.
20% of the year is gone.
That's fine.
So
Stanton can pile up home runs in bunches. All he needs to go on is a 2-week hot streak, and boom, he has 10.
I think Stanton is going to be a 50, home run a year type of guy. Not with the Marlins here, and certainly in 80% of the year left. How many? Now he's missing more time. So let's say there's 65% of the year left when he comes back. You think he can get to 30 home runs from 3?
Yeah, I do. I think if there's anyone in baseball who can do it, it's him or Jose Bautista. And they're probably the only two guys that could pile up home runs in bunches like that. Maybe Josh Hamilton, last year over the first 2 months, but maybe not so much this year. But if there's anyone who can do it, it's Giancarlo Stanton. I'm not giving up on him. I still think he's a nice player.
Not John Buck.
Not John, but no, I don't think John Buck's going to quite get to 50.
All right, let's move on. Michael Bourne. I don't understand. That's why I say all these people are soft. He had a cut on his finger.
It's hard to hit when you have a cut on your finger. It's not like he was a great hitter to begin with.
All right, well, he's back this weekend. You just plug him right in, or you need steals?
Yeah, I mean, I would assume the lacerated finger would give you...
Shouldn't hurt his running, no?
No, not at all. And just as long as he stayed conditioned while he's been out, there should be no problems. Michael Bourne is not as good as people think he is in fantasy. I mean, if he could continue to hit 300 like I did, I think it was 2 years ago, that he would be tremendously valuable. That's just...
Well, the Indians paid a handsome sum for him.
Well, but he's also he's probably one of the best top 5 defensive center fielders in baseball.
You think so?
That goes a long way.
Okay. All right, let's move on from Bourne then. He's
fine. He'll be exactly the same as he was before he got hurt.
Jayson Heyward, appendectomy. He's starting to take batting practice, so it can't be too long. Maybe 2 weeks.
How is he out so long? I don't understand this. Ben Roethlisberger
I'm telling you, everybody's soft.
Ben Roethlisberger had an appendectomy, and it took him 4 days to come back. He played that weekend.
Well, he doesn't get to wear,
I don't care. He actually gets hit.
Yeah, but Heyward doesn't get hit for a living.
Exactly, but still. Roethlisberger does, and he came back in 4 days. Hayward's been out a month.
Yeah, but Roethlisberger can't swing a bat like he can.
I guess so.
Well, that's the other thing.
He still has to throw.
That swing thing.
Maybe. I guess the swinging part of the motion may hurt a little bit. I still would think that people's helmets flying into your rib cage would be a bit different, but
I don't see that he got a part taken out of his body that he didn't need. I don't even know why he's out to begin with.
I would.
He didn't need the part, so what?
Maybe
was he missing time?
Maybe the stitches are coming through. I don't know. I would assume he's fine. He's the Jayson Heyward. I think he was overrated coming into the year. He was overdrafted coming into the year. People were taking him in the second round, which was kind of ludicrous. But he's going to be, whatever you thought Jayson Heyward is, I wouldn't change that based on this appendectomy. Yep. Okay. I was a little down on him. I expect him to be a top 40-ish player. I wouldn't expect him to be a top 20 player. But if you did, I don't see why this would change that.
All right, Curtis Granderson, broken forearm. I think this month he'll be back.
Yeah, he should be back actually within the next week. He's fine. It's just a broken bone. And unlike these ligament problems, I don't have a lot of concerns about broken bones. Once they're healed, they're healed.
Yeah.
So I think Granderson comes back, and he's the old Curtis Granderson. Maybe he's a little bit worn down because he's a little bit older, but 95% of the stats he puts up this year. There's another guy that I expect to get to 30 home runs by the end of the year.
What's he going to bat?
220, 240, somewhere in that range. Not great. You're not drafting Curtis Granderson for average. You're drafting him for the other 4 categories. Hopefully he still runs.
He's going to run? Okay.
Hopefully he still runs.
Okay.
But I think he's a nice buy low right now. I think people are actually, he's probably a nice buy low 3 weeks ago. Now that he's coming back, people are like, well, I don't want to trade him now, but who knows?
How about Coco Crisp? What a start he was off to, huh?
It's almost like...
Unbelievable.
Absolutely unbelievable. But he goes through these spurts every year where for 3-week stretches, he's the best player in fantasy. Because when he finds his power stroke, he's ultimately...
He keeps changing his hairstyle. He had the Chia Pet thing. The dreads.
He can change it however he wants.
I don't think he should change it. Every time he changes it, he gets hurt.
Well, he just always gets hurt. Getting hurt's sort of his thing. But he is who he is. Look.
Well, that start that he got off to with the power,
but he did that. But he did that last July too, and it carried over into August, and then he got hurt.
You think that's it? If he's in the lineup every day, you think he can
put it this way?
That way? If he played 150 games,
he would be a top 10 fantasy player. Yes, okay. He absolutely would be. Just based on because he gets so many steals. There are very few players that steal as many bases and can provide that much power. Basically, he is the model for what Carlos Gomez is turning into. You have the 20-25 home runs, and obviously Gomez has a little bit more power than Crisp, but that's his upside with the 40 to 50 steal upside. That's just huge in fantasy. It's the reason why Ryan Braun and Mike Trout are so much more valuable than everybody else because they run.
Yep. Okay. And how about nice young player Adam Eaton? Sprained elbow, late May.
What do we really know about Adam Eaton? I know
he's a nice young player.
He's a nice young player, but what are we based on? His minor league stats that the Diamondbacks were so high on him? I mean, the Diamondbacks pick up people based on their grittiness. They traded away Justin Upton because he didn't have any grit to him. So what does that really tell you about their scouting department?
Well, he played decent while he was in.
Yeah, last year. Yeah. But that's less than a month of a sample. Maybe he just got off to a hot September.
So you're not high on Adam Eaton?
I think he's a nice stash. I think if he's available, you pick him up, and I think that if you've DL'd him all this time...
On this influx of young outfield talent that we've had come into the league recently, Trout,
No,
Harper.
he's not like these guys, though. He has no power.
Would you rank him ahead of Heyward in fantasy?
Oh, God, no. Not even close.
Who was he most like to you?
He's almost like Michael Bourne, in a way. Maybe a little bit more pop, but not significantly more. Like, you're not going to get 25 home runs out of Adam Eaton. Maybe later.
He's going to run as much as Bourne?
Yeah, I would think so. Bourne may be pushing it in terms of elite steal production, but even Bourne has seen his steals have a precipitous drop-off the last 3 years.
Well, then it's good that his injury was to his elbow.
Exactly, but with Eaton, the main reason he's in the lineup is because he's a tremendous center fielder. That's his best attribute, and his speed is his second best attribute. You picked him up because you expected 40 steals out of him. Now that he's going to be having missed 25% of the season, maybe you're looking at 30, but still, a valuable fantasy player, but certainly not elite.